Well, we're out in North Yorkshire at the moment, and we're making our way down to Swinsty Reservoir, which is a beautiful reservoir set in Nidderdale, in the Dales, and there we're going to find some great scenes which will include water, excellent light and some woodland. We're heading down now into the valley, which is where the reservoir sits, obviously, and you can see from here that it's a wonderful countryside and very inspiring if you ever get up this way. Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, Yorkshire generally is probably one of the most stunning counties that I've ever taken photographs in. Although I've lived in a few counties and I am a Londoner, I've probably found North Yorkshire the most beautiful and diverse in its subjects, textures and colours. Come down to the bottom now, you'll start to see the light change, and you can see to the left over here the water, which is pretty depleted because we've had a very dry September, but all in all there's still some water there which we can include in our shots on our path of discovery here at Swinsty Reservoir. Well, normally I would be standing in water, standing right where I am now, but the ducks have found some, as you can see, and the reservoir here spans a fair amount of ground and goes round the bend here to the other side, which is where we're going to walk to find something a little more interesting, a few textures that might suit our shots. Here you'll see some rocks piled up, and these are the type of features that we look for when we've got this type of landscape or waterscape. What it will do is give us some foreground interest and hopefully give some contrast to the background. Now as we walk down to the shoreline here, the depleted reservoir has revealed lots of rocks, all giving us some great geometric shapes, and with such a bright day we're getting lots of shadow at the corners of all these shapes, as you can see. And this is great interest for a foreground shot, which is going to contrast nicely with the bright blue water behind, which is reflecting a clear autumn sky at the moment here in Yorkshire. What I've done here is I've set on my Canon D50 a variable focus so that I can get the focus to push onto the very near foreground and focus on that texture that we've got with these stones. Now here's a famous one to remember. With the sun behind you, you've got the shadow in front of you. You don't want that. One of the most memorable things about Yorkshire is the wonderful brick stone walls. The dry stone walling that you get in a lot of places like this is just stunning. And this is very well looked after. And we're going through the walk now around the reservoir footpath. I'm going to come off the footpath soon because I want to be places where people don't usually go and see things that people don't usually see. Once again we get contrasting textures. We have the dry stone walling in front of us and a parallel shot, and then above these lovely trees in the woodland with the sky cracking through. So with a long portrait shot you can get some lovely textures. I'm going to try one now, see what it comes out like. Woodland is often fascinating at this time of year because once again we've got this high contrast light. So looking around at these trees from the footpath here, before we get to where we're going, you can see the great amount of textures from the ferns, from the wall, up to the mid-ground where light's hitting some of the patches and then hitting the right hand side of the trees, which gives great 3D for us. and that beautiful contrast again of the blue sky. Also, as we walk down, we can see how the dappled light can also give us textural effects, in fact creating a texture just out of light onto the material on the ground. You'll see here there's a solitary rock which looks a bit strange in the landscape. It's these types of things that make something a little unique about what you're taking. And I'm going to get down and take a shot using this in my foreground. Well, we're now over a bit, and you can see as I sweep round that we've got a lot of contrasting again rocks in the foreground, which is going to help. And just over there is actually a wild flower, a wild plant which is in blossom. You might be able to do something with this. So let's just take a look from a few angles here. We really want to see behind it. We have butterflies and bees. Let's just have a look. Yeah, this could give us some sort of composition, which I'll now try with the Canon. We now have a bit more debris in the foreground, and right in the distance there you'll see a couple. We don't have to have people-free pictures everywhere we go. Sometimes it sets the scale for the scene, and we don't always want it to look like a bomb scare. Now the sort of angle I'm taking for my next still shot is I'm going to go a landscape shot here. Now we don't always have to adhere to thirds. It's a great general rule to use thirds to form your composition in the viewfinder. Here I'm going to cheat a bit, and I'm going to go more like quarters for the top, as you can see, because I want to keep it landscape, but I want as much foreground as I can get to get the textures from this debris. Without saying that when you're walking these sort of terrains, you do need a decent pair of boots, especially if you're carrying expensive equipment and you don't want to stumble and start smashing lenses about. But on a day like this, you can see where you're going pretty well. When it's very early in the morning, which is where you capture some astonishing light, you really do need to take caution. What often looks like a load of rubbish, mud and mixture of material of no interest can often turn out to be a fabulous shot. Not a landscape, but if you look down here, there's a lot of interesting things like cones, twigs, bits of branches, the odd bit of mud. If you look about a bit, don't ignore some of the things that you normally walk past. For instance, look at the structure of these amazing roots, which are normally probably halfway up in water or more, but because of the depletion of water in this reservoir in Yorkshire here, we've got all the roots revealed down to the earth itself, and this can make a fabulous shot. I'm going to take a couple here because the light's good and you can see what I'll do with them.